At the turn of last century, a young Englishman set off for a day trip. He drove for miles from the east of his home county, across the downs and along coastland, then turned inland through hills, woods and hidden villages. Heading through a thickly forested area, the track began to descend, and eventually Kim decided to turn back in case it ended in a swamp. However, then seeing sunshine ahead, he continued until he found himself on the turf of a great lawn and surrounded by massive topiary sculptures of horsemen with raised lances, huge peacocks and maids of honour, all hewn of clipped yew. Across the lawn stood an ancient house of lichened and weather-worn stone with ornate windows and roofs of red tile. A girl appeared at the upper window, seeming to wave a friendly hand, then calling for another child who joined her. Amidst the cooing of doves around him, Kim heard the delighted chuckles of another child playing nearby. Suddenly, a large open garden door was pushed wider nearby, and a woman in a big garden hat walked across stone steps onto the turf where Kim was parked. He was just starting to apologise when she lifted her head, and he realised that she was sight impaired and also very beautiful. She said that she had heard him and asked if he was in a motor car. Kim started to explain that he had made a mistake and should have turned off higher on the road, but the woman said that she was delighted at his appearance and having a motor car in her garden. Introducing herself as Florence, she said that it would be such a treat for, and turning her head about, asked if he had seen anyone. Kim replied that the children had seemed interested at a distance. When pressed further, he explained that there had been 2 children at an upper window and another by the fountain in the grounds. The woman exclaimed that he was lucky and, asking if he liked children, proceeded to make a request. She asked if he could slowly drive his car through the gardens once or twice, as it would be a treat for the children who see so little. "We're so out of the world here," she explained. Kim agreed to drive across the flagstones along what she called the Peacock's Walk, and Florence climbed into his vehicle, calling out to the children to watch. A child immediately shouted in reply from behind the yews, but fled at their approach, leaving a little toy boat in the water of the fountain. Kim caught a glimpse of his blue shirt among the horsemen trees. He drove his car slowly down the Peacock's Walk and then, at Florence's request, reversed slowly back. The little boy had overcome his initial panic but stood far off observing. Kim wondered if he would like a ride and was told that the children were still very shy, but how lucky he was to see them. They waited for the children to slowly approach the car, but nothing happened, although Kim could still just see the girl at the window. Finally, he decided that he should start the 60-mile journey home, and the woman asked her butler Madden to accompany and direct him as far as the crossroads. She could not leave the children, but asked could he visit again. On his way to the lodge gates, Kim had to make a sudden swerve to avoid the small blue-shirted boy. Strangely, the butler asked him why he had lurched so suddenly, but then questioned him about his sightings of the children, the boy by the fountain and the children upstairs. After dropping him off, Kim made his way home, but inquiring of locals along the way, was unable to find the name of the house or family or even the area on a map. It was about a month later when Kim revisited the area and found himself at the crossroads where he had dropped off Madden. However, his car suddenly developed mechanical problems which forced him to turn off near a hazel wood and take out his toolkit. Laying his tools out and even ringing a bell, he half listened for the children and then, after some time, heard Florence's cry, "Children, oh children, where are you?" As she approached, he thought he could see the boy in blue clinging to her skirt, then peeling off into the branches as she drew nearer. The shy children hovered all around as Kim and Florence heard the murmur of their lowered voices, every now and then suddenly breaking into giggles. Finally, his repair work done, Kim asked Florence how many children there were at the house. She replied that she didn't really know, sometimes more, sometimes less, that they come to stay because they know she loves them, but that she does not have any of her own. She let on that people laughed at her about her menagerie, which she found hurtful to both her and the children. Meanwhile, the children in the wood had started to gather around again when suddenly a dishevelled woman appeared from the bend in the road begging for help. her grandchild was gravely ill and the local doctor away fishing, the child's mother Jenny at her wits' end. Kim drove to pick up Madden, and then they found the nearest doctor 5 miles away and delivered him to the child's family. As they waited outside, Madden expressed to him a wish that he had had a car when his own daughter was taken ill 10 years ago. He was unable to fetch a doctor in time, and she had succumbed to croup. Just then, a neighbour came out of the next cottage and said that Jenny's child Arthur was terribly unwell. She then made the strange statement that soon it would be Jenny's turn to walk in the woods. As the doctor finally emerged, Jenny followed him, insisting that although she was unwed, her child was just as loved and valuable as a lawfully born one. Kim and the doctor used his car to fetch medicines, then searched the area for an available nurse who was conveyed to attend to the boy. It was some months before Kim travelled to that part of the county again, where he was met by Jenny's grief-stricken mother, who informed him that little Arthur had died after 2 days of illness. Miss Florence had helped with the dignified burial, and now Jenny was coping with her loss and walking in the woods, again that strange statement. On reaching Florence's house, Kim waited in the hall where a child's cart and doll lay, the rug kicked back as if children had just hurried away to hide. This time, Florence showed him over the house, pointing out the door latches which had been placed low down for the sake of the children. As she flung open a door, Kim asked where the children were, as he had not heard them that day. She did not immediately answer, showing him one of their rooms with its miniature furniture, doll's house, rocking horse, toy gun and wooden cannon. They both heard a creaking door, rustle of a frock and rapid patter of feet through a room beyond. As if triumphantly, Florence cried out for the children, asking where they were. The elusive children seemed to have started a game of hide-and-seek, apparent only in fleeting silhouettes, and slipping away into the shadows with joyous chuckles as the pair wandered back to the sitting room. There, Kim thought that he could finally see the group of them hiding behind a fire screen in a huddle, no more than shadows, until a quick flame showed an outline. He decided to draw them out by the simple trick of pretending not to notice them. Occasionally he would tap on the screen, whereby he eventually felt a pair of child's hands take his. He suddenly knew what was happening around the house, and Florence was also now aware that he knew. Florence explained that as she had never borne or lost children, these ghosts were all she had. She said that the children had gathered around her because she loved and needed them. Her garden door was never shut, the toys and games were there to attract and entertain them, and she even had the fire burning all night. Even the butler's wife, Mrs. Madden, had recognised her own deceased daughter among the ghosts. Kim immediately noticed that there was no child-proof guard on the fire, while Florence asked him if it was wrong of her to make the children come to her. He answered 1,000 times no, but both knew that he would never visit again.